Hi everyone, I'm Chris.
And I'm Tyler.
And we are so glad that you could join us today for Next Conference. Unfortunately, the Texas weather did not really play ball. And so we have been thinking and praying and really trying to put together what God has given us a vision for, not just Amazing Life, but also the next gen space and the future of the church. And so we could not miss this opportunity to really put together an incredible program over the next 60 minutes that is gonna bless you and help you have a deep understanding of not just where the church is today, but where the future and where the church is going to next. And so Tyler is gonna lead us through Keynote and take us through the different stages and eras that the church has been through. And then we're gonna come back and share with you a little bit about what we are up to at Amazing Life going into the future. And I just wanna say one thing. I don't believe that ever before a group of people this talented has come together to serve the next generation. We have some incredible animators, designers, software engineers, graphic designers, all with a heart and a passion to serve you and help make your life easier. So I can't wait to share some of that with you. But over to you, Tyler.
Okay, thank you. Well, again, we're excited to get to serve you guys and share with you guys. Like Chris said, our weather has not been great. We haven't had really cooperating weather. And while we were sitting there, you know, as we all do when it's raining outside or we get iced in Texas, I was scrolling this weekend and I was reminded of, and maybe you've done this before, but have you ever ordered something online and it wasn't exactly what you thought it was gonna be? I did this a couple months ago. I wish I could say it was 5 years ago and I learned so much. I didn't. But I ordered from one of those apps and it comes from halfway across the world, but it's supposed to be a lot cheaper. And it was this awesome frying pan, like a skillet. And it looked awesome in the pictures and the reviews were all 5 stars and I did it. And I got so excited because I'm like, $3? Like this should be at least like $100, $120. So I ordered it and it took about 3 weeks to get here from halfway across the world. And I do the thing where the moment I hit buy, I'm checking the shipping for the rest of like the 24 hours that follow. So finally it gets to my house and I was gone, I was at work. But I know it's there. So I'm leaving work and I'm so excited for this. My $3 world-class skillet is waiting at home for me. So I pull into the driveway and I get out and I'm looking on our porch. I'm like, where is it? I don't see it. So I go and I check the email again. I'm like, it says it was delivered. So I'm kind of like looking everywhere, trying to figure out where the delivery man, hid it. And then I'm realizing maybe he stole it. Did he lie to us? Did he take my really nice, expensive skillet? And then it hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. So I, stopped and I walk over to the mailbox and I open the mailbox and I look in and there is a little envelope in there, like the padded kind with the bubble wrap, and I pull it out and it's about this big. I'm like, oh no. And I slowly, the Snoopy walk or Charlie Brown walk, I walk inside and I rip open the envelope and I pull out like a 2-inch little frying pan. And it taught me a great lesson. Sometimes people promise things and they don't deliver. And I think we all have had that experience in ministry, right? Like people promise us awesome things. It's gonna be so good. If you just do this and X plus Y equals Z and you follow this formula, and there's a lot of really great ideas out there, but sometimes we feel like we get caught up. Sometimes it feels like we get a little bit hoodwinked. I'll never forget, I came back to a church after COVID. We had this beautiful season where my wife and I, we got to go plant a church in the Austin, Texas area. And during COVID, when everything shut down, it was heartbreaking. We had to close the door. So we moved back up here, went on staff at a church, and they had been in the middle of trying to rebrand their kids ministry area. They had spent all this money on this kids ministry and it was awesome, but it was time to redecorate it. So I stepped into the middle of this process. And they had hired these insanely talented, creative people who did very big companies, not just church installs, but just very big companies and creative things. And I get roped into it and they're showing these designs and these mood boards. And they're not just promising us like it's gonna look good. They're like, and here's what's gonna happen when you design it like this. Parents are gonna stay in your lobby and they're gonna communicate and they're gonna connect here. And then here is where kids are gonna have fun together and they're painting this picture with words and literal renderings, and it's beautiful. So I step into this process for about a month and I'm excited. I'm like, this is incredible. Like we're gonna have the world's like, I think we're building the Disney world of ministry, but it's so cool. And so finally we land on the designs, like great, we'll come back to you. We gotta print these out and we'll come back to you with what the next steps are. So about 2 weeks later, they come back and they're like, all right, so here you go, we can do all of this. And they slide over the price. And I've never dropped my jaw before, but that was probably the first time I did. Because they had told us all these things and they had promised all these things, but when it came time for delivery, the price was a little bit steeper than we thought. And the problem is as we started digging through the itemized list, it was because they had to outsource a lot of the work because they didn't have the right tools. And we didn't have it, so we ended up passing on this. It was so sad, it was heartbreaking. But the reality is what we're doing, and for us who are in ministry, a lot of the times this happens where we feel like we're excited and something's gonna work, and then we realize we don't have the right tools. We're not in the right system, that we don't have exactly what we needed in order to accomplish the dream or the desires or the purpose we feel like God's put in our hearts. And what I've realized, and as we've talked about, and Chris and I were talking about this months ago, a couple weeks ago too, is we look across the church, I think what we're looking at is we're right on the edge and we're changing the model and the tools that are needed for where we're going. Like I've grown up in different ministries, and I've grown up and I'm a product of Well Done Kids ministry and student ministry, and my family and my parents being really engaged in how I follow Jesus. But throughout the eras, we start to realize that there are tools that have helped us get to where we're going. And it reminded me of this story. So I'm a nerd, I'm a Bible nerd, so please forgive me. But if you go to Exodus 17, you don't have to go there, I'm gonna go there for you. But Exodus 17, there's this awesome story of Moses. I'm sure some of you have taught this, like Moses, he's the guy who let my people go. So he does this amazing thing. He leads the people of Israel out of Egypt. They get to the other side, the waters come down, and now they're kind of wandering around the desert. And so there's this great part here in 17 where it says, all of the people of Israel, they're quarreling with Moses. And they're saying, why did you bring us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and livestock with thirst? It's a little dramatic. I mean, you've probably never experienced dramatic people that you're leading. And I'm sure everyone at your church is just so grateful for your leadership. And they tell you all the time how like you just feel it. Moses has a different problem. People are literally saying, why did you bring us here to die? And so the Bible tells us here in Exodus 17 that Moses goes out to meet with God. An attentive meeting, and he meets, and this is what God tells Moses: pass on before the people, taking with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile. Just remember that for a second. Take with you the staff with which you struck the Nile. Behold, I will stand before you there on the rock at Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and water shall come out of it, and the people will drink. So then the story goes on. Moses does it. He gets this whole procession. He gets his posse with him, and I imagine Moses is just rolling through the camp with his staff, and people who are angry are like, what is this guy doing? Like, he brought us here to die. And it says he rolls through. He takes his staff. He goes up to the rock, and he hits it, and all of a sudden water comes out. And the Bible tells us that the people, their children, and their livestock all drink. It was awesome. It was great, right? And what's cool about that is God said, take the staff that you hit the Nile with, that you used in the Nile. If you read the story of Moses, there were plagues and the Nile River turned into blood. It's also the same staff that Moses threw down and it turned into a snake. It's the same staff that the Bible tells us that he raised. He raised a staff and the waters parted. So I would love a tool like that. It's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of leading people. Whenever I have a need, all of a sudden I just pick up my tool and it's gonna help me accomplish what I need to get done. And the Bible even goes on. If you keep reading through that chapter, it says that they were going into battle. And so Moses sends Joshua to fight. And he says, I'm going to stand up here with my staff. And it says that every time his hands were raised with the staff, that the Israelites were winning. And as he started to lower his hands, they would be overtaken. So like, this is a great staff, right? Like, this is a great tool. Maybe you have this, and if you do, please call me, because I'd really love a tool that helps me give everything I need to the people I lead. But it's awesome. He was using this, God used this staff to help him get the people out of Israel, to lead the people through the desert, and then some things happen. So if you keep reading and reading, you go through Exodus, and then Leviticus, and then you get to Numbers. So Numbers chapter 20, I'm gonna flip there for a second. Completely different story. Again, the people are complaining. The people are complaining to Moses. It's as if some people just forget that he had done all these great things and God had been providing for them. And it says that they're in the wilderness, and believe it or not, people start complaining again. That's crazy. I've never experienced this. People are always so happy. They're so happy with the way that we lead them. And it says that they were thirsty. So what does Moses do? He goes to God. He talks to him. He says, they've taken up offense and they're against me and Aaron. So this is what God says. He says, take the staff and assemble the congregation, you and Aaron, your brother, and tell the rock before your eyes to yield its water. Take the staff, go up to the rock, tell it to yield its water. So it says, then Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock, and he said to them, hear now, you rebels, shall we bring water for you out of this rock? Like, Moses is kind of he's a showman a little bit. Like, he's getting it going, and he says, hear now, you rebels, shall we bring water out of this rock? And Moses lifted up his hand and struck the rock with his staff twice, and water came out abundantly. And the congregation drank, and their livestock drank as well. And the Lord said to Moses and Aaron, because you did not believe in me to uphold me as holy in the eyes of the people of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this assembly into the land that I have given them. It's a really scary thing. And this is what I've noticed as I read these stories, because I love the Bible. And I think there's always multiple layers. The Bible's like a little gem that you turn. And every time you turn it, there's a new angle and that you can see and learn from. And this is what I love about this story of Moses, is it teaches us that tools are important in leading people. That God even gave Moses the right tools to lead his people, not just out of Egypt, but through the desert. But then we see in one season when Moses took the staff and he hit the rock and the water came out, the second time God says, hey, take the staff and go talk to the rock and tell it to yield its water. But Moses took the same tool that had worked in this season and he tried to do the same thing in a new season. And because of that, because he disobeyed God, because he was just doing what was familiar to him, he and the people he led missed out on going into a promise that God had made them. And so what's scary for me is that us as ministry leaders, we can get so comfortable and familiar with the way that we do things, the tools that we use to do them, that we can maybe start to miss out on what God is asking us to do and where he's trying to take us. You see, the wrong tool at the right time can be a very scary thing. And that doesn't negate or make that tool bad. Just remember, that was the same staff that Moses had walked through the plagues with, that he had raised and parted the Red Sea with, that he had brought water out of a rock before with. He had done a lot of great things, but because of his familiarity with that tool, his disobedience to God and God talks about, you didn't trust me. So I think for us as leaders, my question for us is, are there areas in our lives, in our leadership and in our ministries where we've gotten comfortable that we may not be aware of God asking us to do a new thing? Are there tools that God is bringing into our lives? Are there ways and patterns that we're used to operating in that maybe God is saying, hey, let's try something new? And if we're not careful, we might not just for ourselves miss out on what God is doing and where he's taking us, but the people we're leading might miss out as well. So it brought up a lot for me in thinking through, well, how has the era of kids ministry and next gen operated over the past 100 years? I'm a church nerd. I really am. Like, I say that all the time, but I'm also just a Christian nerd. Like, I was the 11-year-old that asked my parents for Fox's Book of Martyrs for Christmas. And I would just sit there on Christmas Day like, wow. no, mauled by lions. Like, I really was just like a weird kid. And so I love paying attention to the different ways that God moves, because sometimes knowing how he did move is going to help us anticipate where he's going next. So we started looking at what were the different eras of kids ministry, like over the past 100 years. And so I want to show you a couple. Like, I want you to go through this with me really fast. So if you look at over the past 100 years, let's start with just like the first 1920 to the 1940s. So this was a very interesting year. It was the Sunday school and moral formation era. It was a great era. And what was interesting about this, like every era, it had its strengths and its weaknesses. You know what I mean? Like, what was really great about this era is that there was an intentionality placed on like age specific, like, hey, these kids, they need to learn the Bible. Like leading up to this, and even in the 1800s, families came, they sat together in the pews and the preacher would talk. So they thought, let's have a place for kids to come and digest and learn for themselves. And it was kind of in a school model. The weakness of this era, I would say, as we look back 100 years later, so hindsight's always 2020, was it did this separation between parents and kids. It took some of the responsibility of spiritual formation out of the parents' hands and let them believe like, well, someone else can handle it. That's great. I'm here to grow, and someone else is going to make sure that my kids grow as well. And the tools that were used in this era were fascinating. Like, it won't be shocking. Some of this, it was spoken word. Like, you had teachers, you know what I'm talking about, who would get up and it was an oral like communication style. And then we had memorization. Like, and memorization isn't bad either. The Bible talks about how I will hide your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Jesus at a young age would wake up early and go to the temple, and he would learn all of the scrolls and he could quote it in his later ages. Like, memorization was awesome. It was very school-like too. Hymnals, they would open. I grew up going to a church with my grandparents sometimes who still used hymnals. So I learned how you open the book and they tell you the page number that you go to, and then you sing the hymn. Written scripture, they had a chalkboard, and kids could go and clap the chalk erasers afterwards and clean them out. Like, it was great. But that was 1920s to the 1940s. Like, there was a lot happening. We also saw some world wars happening there as well. So it wasn't a lot of like 20 years of that kind of solid framework. And then we move into the next era. So the next era number 2, we get into the evangelism and decision-focused ministry. Now, some of us, we may have come up in this era. I didn't, but like for those of us who have been in ministry a bit, this may have been when you grew up or your parents grew up. And remember, we had just come out of, especially in North America, I should say, and the world as well, we had come out of 2 really big wars. And so we had seen the depravity of humanity. We had seen how people could suffer. So evangelism became a big thing. We wanted to make sure, like, if you die today, where will you spend eternity? And some of the tools that we used in this era was, printed tracts. Like, do you guys remember? Tracts stayed around for a long time. There was, the plus of it was, hey, it was an easy little pamphlet that printed out and told the story of the gospel and how they could make a decision to follow Jesus. Awesome. Then it got weird. Like, I was the kid growing up, we didn't celebrate Halloween, so we gave out tracts in our home. So when people came to trick or treat, we'd give out tracts. Like, that means we were the home that everybody was always angry with, because we didn't give out the good candy. We just said, how's your soul? You have a second for me to talk to you about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. But tracts, they became very popular. Illustrated lessons. So there were awesome ways that we would not just illustrate it, but have ways to do object lessons. I have a book at home. It's on my shelf, and it's all these, it's from this era. It's from the 1950s, where it gives you all these different ideas on how to illustrate a lesson for kids. Radio preaching. Families would gather around a radio and they would listen to the word be taught and preached, and they would do it as a family. Posters, great artwork that would come out of like, I'm a follower of Jesus and this is what you do. Like, we hang this up in your classroom so kids can get the imagery of what's happening. Then we moved into era 3, the programmatic growth and attractional ministry. And to be honest, this is still an era that like a lot of us, like we pull a lot from. So we went from Sunday school model into the evangelism and decision-making model. So like Sunday school is very regimented. regimented. This is what we're learning. This is how we learn. Into like, okay, we want to make sure kids start to understand the faith decision that they're making. So how do we illustrate this in a way that's going to make their brains come alive and their imaginations engage? Then we get into this one, the attractional ministry. And this is where like we started looking at not just having Sunday school, but kids church. And so we looked at hey, if parents are, doing worship, should we do worship for kids too? Like, Bob, you play guitar, right? You should come out and just maybe sing the B-I-B-L-E. It became more of a service flow. And so these were some of the programming that happened and the tools that happened here. I love this. Printed curriculum started making its way around. Like people were coming together in churches, and people were very passionate about like, hey, how are you teaching the Bible? And how are you? Let's get together and let's start coming up with a curricula. Let's come up with a scope here that helps everyone else. Let's be teaching the same thing. Let's help other people who don't have time to do it, make sure that they have theologically sound and really good content for kids to learn from. That's awesome, right? Like it not a bad thing. And then you had schedules. Like we started seeing how like, hey, we're gonna program this out in a way to where like we spend time doing this, and then we move into this, and then we move into this. We saw midweek services starting to come alive, workbooks, analog games, crafts. Oh my goodness, we love crafts. What would we do without crafts? Like that would be just a heartbreak if that had never come around. That's started to come alive in the 1970s. So then we move into our beautiful fourth era. So that was 1970, 1980, and then we get into the 1990s. And this is our child development and age-specific design. And this is where, in the 90s, we started to see a lot of research come. George Barna released his book. It was a very popular book where he took data looking at how parents and churches need to be forming children's spiritual formation. It was in the 90s where we started learning that a kid is going to make their decision for whether they follow Christ before the age of 13 and the trajectory it puts them on their life. We started also seeing how a child's learning behaviors affect the way that they engage with different things. There was all this data. Like we had a new generation of people who weren't afraid of, like, it wasn't weird to have psychologists or it wasn't weird to have therapists speaking into like, these are different learning models. And so this started to research. These were the tools that became popular then. Color printing, oh my goodness. What were we doing before color printing? Everything was black and white. Like it was a black and white world, and then Hewlett-Packard made it come to life. Thank you, God. Jesus, you're real. We had themed environments. People started decorating their environments. So it was no longer just like a cold, dark, like childcare looking room, but it started to come alive and imagination started to flourish. And it's like, today we're in a castle, or today we're in a jungle. Like people started building out little sets where puppets would pop up and all these things. And it was a good era. We also had VHS and DVD media. This was huge. This was a big piece. I think some of us grew up in this era as well. Like we had a big blue songbook that would sing songs. Or we had, there was a guy who had this idea to do this crazy thing where, what if we just have vegetables tell a story in the Bible? And they sing these like silly songs in the middle of it. Like let's break, and it's kind of like a commercial. And we have a cucumber sing a silly song. And then we'll go back to this version of the Bible story where in the walls of Jericho, they're throwing slushies off the wall. Like it was, you guys know what I'm talking about. We had, TV stars being like, I'm going to create a Bible superhero named Bible Man. Like a Gospel Bill. Like come on. I know some of you grew up on Gospel Bill. Gospel Bill featuring Gospel Bill. Like it was on TV. Like media started to become a thing. We started to see like churches and passionate people try to leverage media in a way that grabbed and captured the hearts and minds and imagination of kids so that it could point them to a bigger story and help them connect to Jesus. It was awesome. And then we saw early software start to take place, like computer games became real. And so all of this started turning and spinning. And then we get into the 2000s, era 5, integrated family, partnership, and experiential discipleship era. And I love this era because to be honest, this is one of the eras that we saw Orange really take off. They were looking at the data that was coming out of the 90s and like, hey, parents really need to be involved. And like, but that doesn't mean it's all on the parents, the churches, we got to partner together. And so they started looking at how do we help the home and the church come alive and partnering in their children's faith formation. And so here were some of the tools that started coming out of the early 2000s. So we had take-home print materials. Does anybody still do take-home print materials? Yes, I call it floorboard curriculum. And if you're chuckling, it's because you know why. 9 times out of 10 ends up on the van and the floorboard of the car. But it's great. It's great. I love that. It's great. Like, it's better, than the Sunday school version where it was just like, learn this. It's like, take this home. We want you to do it with your children. And the 2 out of the 400 that brought it back, it was great. And so then we had email. We started emailing and communicating via email. The World Wide Web, like websites started to come out. Like I talked to someone the other day and I mentioned AOL, and they looked at me. There was a 13-year-old, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And I was like, well, back in the day, we used to have to, it was called dial-up. And they're like, well, dial-up what? And I was like, and I got on YouTube and I played the sound like the, and they said, you heard that every time you got online? I said, yeah, no one could sneak online back in the day. Like, you probably had a computer room too. Some of you had computer rooms. I know you did. It wasn't really a room for the computer. It was your dining room that the computer was in, but it was your computer room. Websites were big. DVDs, oh my goodness. Like we got rid of those clunky VHSs and DVDs became popular. We could burn something onto a DVD-ROM, have a nice little DVD player. It was great. And then we moved into the back half of the 2000s, like the 2010, 2019, worship audio became really awesome. Like we saw a lot of great churches, a lot of great artists, a lot of great creators starting to create really intentional moments of worship for kids to connect with God from early childhood all the way into preteen. It was awesome. And then you had Hillsong that was putting out music for teenagers and adults. It was great. Digital video, that was one of the things Orange did. It was like, hey, can we show you guys a better way? Like, let's also have engaging digital media that helps kids have their imaginations engaged. And then social media, like we saw the popularization of, Facebook happened, and then Twitter came along, and then Instagram. Like social media started to be a thing that we were engaging like parents and students with as well. I grew up in the era where you had to have a .edu email to be a part of Facebook, and I was 16, so I wasn't on Facebook that early. And projection screens, you guys, we all had screens that we would project on. It was so cool. We were forward, and then it turned into screens. And so when I looked through all these eras, and I looked through all the tools that were used, they were beautiful. Like God did things. He moved in our ministries and in kids' lives. I'm a product of it. And I don't make light of them being like, can you believe we used to? No, of course we did. But could you imagine if I stood in front of you today and was like, we're doing something new, guys, and here's what we're gonna do. All right, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. We are now going to, and I start walking all the way back towards that first era, and I pull a tool from that first era, and it's like, well, Tyler, we can do that 10 times better now. You understand? Yeah. Or could you imagine if I was like, guys, we're going back to DVDs. Some of you maybe like, thank God, I've been sending very angry emails to you and you haven't responded. Sure. Here's the beautiful part, is that God wastes nothing. And in every era, and you watch it through the Bible, that God is always telling one big story and he's always continuing to move. And if we're not careful, like in the story of Moses, we'll continue to cling to and white knuckle tools that have served us well, and we miss out on the new thing that God is doing. And here's why it's important to me, because the mission is too great. What we are going for and who we are going after and what we are trying to accomplish isn't to build the world's greatest ministry. It's to see children and teenagers have a Christ-likeness built and instilled in their lives. Like, my greatest prayer isn't that we become the world's greatest curriculum company in every church in the world. My greatest prayer is that Jesus would get a hold of every single heart in the world, and whoever he can use to do that, would he please get a hold of their heart too? And Jesus, would you continue to bring the right people and the right tools so that we can make it happen? And that's what we're doing. And so as we looked at the past 100 years of innovation and children's ministry, it's become very apparent that we're right on the precipice, that we're right on the edge of something new, and we can feel it. We all feel it. There's a tectonic shift happening deep under the earth, spiritually too, that there's a shift happening in culture where there's a new era coming. And what are the tools for that? And it would be easy to stand here and be like, hey, so like now we're introducing AI this. That's not it, actually. Chris and I talked, and we were talking through this. Like, look at how God's moved in every era. And in every era, he's brought tools to accomplish his will here on earth. And so we talked to it and through it. And what I'd like to introduce to you and propose to you is that as we're moving out of this past season, that's been great, and God's brought great tools, that we're moving into a new era called the Re-Humanization Era. And that's not saying that we're going backwards. That's not saying, okay, now all technology is bad. That's the opposite. No, that's not. But in a world where everything is changing, we have to focus on the things that remain the same. In a world where everything is continuing to evolve and shift, and every day it feels like there's new something that we have to pay attention to, we've never been more connected. We've never had more data. And yet kids have never been more lonely, parents have never been more frustrated and stressed out, and people have never been more disconnected. And so we're heading into an era where, we need to bring God's people together. We need to help pastors pastor again. Like, what would the world be like if we had shepherds who knew not just that the 99 had showed up, but that their tools showed them, wait, why wasn't the one here today? Where did the one go? And what if there was a tool where it wasn't just, oh man, the one didn't show up, but I could connect and reach out to that one? You see, in a world where everything is shifting and changing, how do we anchor people to the rock that will never change? You know, Spurgeon, he has this quote that says, I've learned to kiss the wave that throws me against the rock of salvation. Like, we're promised, Jesus said, there would always be change, that we would have hardships. But we believe there's a new era coming, and the tools that we want to introduce and talk through today are going to be evolving and revolving around how do we make sure that we keep the main thing. And that's consistent relationships, communication, and discipleship happening from person to person. And so that's what we're doing. The tools that we need in this season that God is building in our ministries are going to be helping us make sure that kids understand that there is not just a God who loves them, but he's going to show it through the people around them, his people, his kingdom. And together, we're going to build his kingdom here on earth. And so it gets me excited because as we look at, okay, what does the future look like? Then we have to start positioning ourselves to move in that direction. And so what you're going to start to see for us is, like I said, Orange was one of the first pioneers in the digital media curriculum space, and they did so good at it. And so now what we're working on and what we're trying to get into is how do we make sure that that is a reality for a lot of people? Because we know and we want to believe like just putting kids in front of a screen and watching it isn't great. So how do we introduce different concepts and characters that help, one, their imagination connect to it and connect it to God's word and his truth, but also format it in a way that allows you to still be the teacher and make sure that it's landing where God has asked them to have it land. So what you're about to start realizing and seeing as we start to update and refresh our shows, we've been working very hard. Actually, it's been almost a year now. It's been almost a year that we've been talking about the ways that we could update these shows. And it's not change for the sake of change. It's change because we see that God is moving and we want to be where he is. And we want to reach his kids because he loves them even more than we could. And so we started to adapt and shift. And one of the areas that we looked at was, any Ollie fans in here? Like, people are big Ollie fans. I love Ollie. And so what we started to do was, okay, let's update this a bit. So we went and we found the world's best animators and illustrators, and it wasn't change for the sake of change. It was like, how do we simplify this and make Ollie a wise owl? And I will tell you, there's a lot of strong opinions on Ollie, right? Like people have really connected to that owl. Even just the thought of Ollie changing has brought a lot of threats against my life. My family's in witness protection custody right now, and you guys, you have a lot of thoughts. But no, the reality is we're really excited because Ollie is a wise guide and helps kids get to the Bible, to look at the Bible and learn what would Jesus do in this situation and how do I apply it to this situation. But then we thought we should also create characters. And you may have seen it in one of our Facebook Lives. You may have seen it at some of the conferences we've been at. But what we've talked about is how there are 4 different sections of, kids' major, like their major, personalities. And for a long time, church as a general, we've kind of programmed towards one specific kid. But what characters allow us to do is to make every kid of every different type of personality connect with one. Because the kid who connects with the outgoing, silly, adventurous character is going to be different than the kid who connects with the shy, but confident and smart character. But what all these characters allow us to do is when a kid sees this character, his name is Kip, and he's adventurous and he's bold and he's sometimes a little brash. But the fun thing is when he's struggling with forgiveness, well, all of a sudden a kid's like, well, I'm like that too. And if Kip can forgive, I can forgive. And so we're introducing characters. And you'll see this continue to grow and evolve, and Ollie's Treehouse, he got an upgrade. It's a really, really, really great show. And you're gonna start to see also the way that we write and we produce these things. You'll be able to use different elements of this show in different formats, but I'll get to that in a second. And then the next thing we did is we looked at Story Lab, and Story Lab was awesome. Story Lab was great. This was one of the newer shows that Orange introduced into their early elementary age. And the concept came from some of the research that children at that age, they're kind of like scientists. They ask a lot of questions. So, we made a show kind of literally on the nose about a science lab. And how do we tackle big spiritual principles and applications, but do it in a way that helps kids at this age grasp it and apply it. And so one thing, as we had talked to some different customers and some different people and partners, because we love talking to you guys, was they love Story Lab. And even some of the writers had addressed this as well, but there was a bit of imagination. Hey, we love the fun and let's do the science experiments, but is there also a way to maybe push out some of the imagination as well? So kids aren't just having facts there, but it's also hey, let's engage your imagination in the way that we could approach this. So we added a character there. We added a character named Edwin. He's hilarious. He's a lab monkey that's now a scientist, and he has a life roach. Not a life coach, life roach. It's been really funny to watch kids understand and start to see wow, the imagination gets sparked along with the same biblical depth that it always had of let's tell the Bible in this way and give context for it. So I'm very excited about that. And then we made this announcement later last year where So-and-So, which is a beloved show in our Orange ecosystem, people love this. They love the silliness of it, but that it still brings kids and draws them into the experience that we're trying to program for them. So we put together and started dreaming about what does the next phase of So-and-So look like. And we talked to, I talked to probably, close to 100 customers about this one. And it was almost a unanimous answer when I asked, what is you, and more specifically, your kids' favorite part of So-and-So? You know what the answer was? Kellen. Kellen, we love Kellen. Kellen's awesome. Kellen, and here's what we learned about Kellen. And this is what we really, at the end of the day, why we chose to have Kellen step in to be the new face and lead the So-and-So show is because there is a very fine line, it's thin, between silly and sacred. And sometimes what we can do in kids ministry, this isn't about So-and-So, but in kids ministry, we put silly Bob up on a platform and we're he's a kids guy, he's really kind of silly, so let him go. But there's an intentionality that has to come with that silliness. And there's a really fine line between silly and stupid. That's a bad word in our kids ministry, and I'm sorry, but there's a fine line between silly and stupid. And what we've seen, and I think you've seen it over the years, is that Kellen walks that line so well. That Kellen can have kids go to this really fun, imaginative place where they're imagining, and they're at that age, especially in preteen, they're able to engage in a fun way, but he can bring them on a journey to where he gets serious, and you you actually believe him. And he's asking a question about why they would apply this to their life, or how they would apply this to their life. Kellen is a master of it. So we're excited that Kellen's stepping in to take more of a role. You'll still see John and Brandon around. They've still been writing these episodes. Like, it's really cool. I'm excited for you guys to get to experience this. But I think it's really important that you understand, like, as we've been building these out, one thing that we've noticed and one thing that we've seen is people are trying to figure out, well, hey, that doesn't work in my context. Like, hey, I love that you've been able to do this, but we have a lot of different like service formats. Like, I can't play a full 17-minute video, Tyler. Like, this is crazy. And you're right. And so one of the directions we're moving, and you're going to keep seeing us talk about this and moving in a direction of, it's called a modular ministry model, or modular media. And for a long time, this was kind of it felt like a pipe dream, Chris, because like it didn't feel like we could actually make something that would do this. And then God brought someone into the kids ministry world. I may have tricked him into it. I don't know. It's very possible I did. Who looked at, when he hears me, I'll just go to him sometimes and start complaining about, and we have to do this, and this, I don't know how this works, Chris just, well, why don't we build something for it? Why don't we just, and he says it so simply, like it's just, that's the obvious fact. And it's like, Chris, I'm not a tech guy. I'm not an engineer. That doesn't sound like it's doable. He goes, oh, we could do it. Do you have like 10 minutes? Like, give me a second, let's jump on a call and let's do it. And so I'm really excited. Chris, I'm gonna grab my laptop because I wanna show them this tool that you've been building out for them.
Yeah. So modular ministry formats, we have heard from you that what you really wanted was to be able to engage animated storytelling, media, but then in certain parts of the service to be able to use live storytelling and to be able to mix and match parts of the media with live in the room and doing a phenomenal job with the folks that you've got. And you've been asking, I've talked to hundreds of customers, and one of the things you've constantly asked for is the ability to be able to switch that in and out. And one of the things we did this week at Next, we actually had Beth from Highlands here sharing with all of the folks who got together in small groups to have different conversations. And one of the things we all know is true is that kids' attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And so the ability to be able to have them in small groups and to be able to engage them with a video and a discussion and a video and a discussion is one way to be able to keep their attention engaged in the lesson for longer. And so that's really the heart behind what we're trying to do here with modular ministry formats, is to ensure that you have more control over how you create a Sunday morning experience for your kids. And one of the reasons that this has not been possible before is because oftentimes you would have a curriculum vendor and then someone else for the software. But because here at Amazing Life, we're able to have the software, A-Play service builder that we have created, and the content teams to be able to create the media specifically for A-Play, we're able to be able to create this feature just for you to be able to give you exactly what you want.
So Chris, can we show them really fast?
Let's take a look.
We have a show, don't tell culture. So what's interesting about this is when you start to look at it, let's say I open up A-Play and I've got my service here, which if you haven't already, you should really get into A-Play. Not only is it the most up-to-date version of everything we have, it is saving people tons of time. And we can talk about that later. But I get into A-Play here and I have an awesome screen. And so I'm gonna go here and let's say I just wanna change the video out a bit. Now, I would never actually choose a so-and-so video for an early childhood, but just go with me for a second. Down here, I've got media alternatives. So let's say I don't want to use this video, Chris, because that doesn't fit my format. So I'm going to choose the so-and-so show here. And right here, it says edit video. Mm-hmm. So if you click that button, all of a sudden, if I want to get rid of the intro piece right here, and I want to get rid of the wrap-up piece right here, I hit save media, and it drops that new video into my timeline. So like for my A-Play playlist, it's the part that I need. Because for some of us, we just need to be able to mix and match and edit what we're doing. Great, you can now do that. You can chop up and use. So that's one of the things that you're going to start to see in our model is we're going to start with our shows. Like you're going to have an intro and a Bible story and then like a teaching part / outro. That's for our preschool and kids. Now for the teenagers, it's slightly different. You're going to have the
story is going to be the part that we've got some world-class communicators coming to teach story. And then on the back of that, we're going to have some teaching. So you can pick one or either of those, or you can play the whole video all together in one piece.
Yep. And so just be on the lookout, because what we're realizing, and as we keep talking to everybody, is that in a beautiful way, God builds his church, and his church is diverse and different. And that means your ministry model could be different than someone else's ministry model. And we want to be able to support everyone. And one of the best ways we do that is by building tools for this era so that you can build your ministry model and you can do the thing that only you can do, which is pastor the kids with you. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Great.
One of the exciting things we want to share with you today is we have a couple of incredibly exciting partnerships to announce. And Tyler shared with you a little bit about how culture has changed over the last 100 years, specifically in the world of kids ministry. But one of the things that we often look at is what's changing in the culture, because the Bible tells us that God speaks, and sometimes people pick up what God is saying and kind of run with it. And so over the last 20 or 30 years, we've seen this massive change. If we just look at the business world, for example, in the 1980s, there was all that Wall Street, greed is good, Gordon Gekko stuff. Like, greed is not good. Let's be very clear about that. But it was all about competing and trying to get a bigger slice of the pie. But then somewhere along the line, culture started changing. And this very interesting thing happened where a bunch of retailers kind of figured out that if they actually got together and created one shopping center or a mall, that more people would come, and actually they had a much better experience and ended up spending more money. How is it that a mall can have two seemingly competing shops in one place, but actually in one mall, everyone does better? Or I was researching this. Have you ever seen that all of the car dealers end up being in one part of town? They kind of end up having a Honda dealership and Toyota and Nissan, and they're all right there next to each other. And that doesn't really make sense when you think about it, because they're competing. They're trying to get a bigger slice of the pie. But what they realized was that by partnering together and having one place that people go to buy a car, they all do better. And so one of the things that we believe in at Amazing Life is we believe in the power of partnership. Because as much as we hope and dream that we can serve everyone perfectly every single time, that is not the reality of how it's going to be. And so by partnering with some other people that share the same heart that we have, the same standard for world-class excellence, we can actually make a much better outcome for everyone involved. And most of all you, because our goal, our heart here is to serve you with world-class tools, world-class media, world-class software, world-class curriculum, so that you can do the important work of pastoring and connecting with people in your community better than ever before. And so we have a couple of exciting partnerships that we want to announce today, and this is just the beginning. I want to encourage you to make your way to Church Conference. It's here in Dallas later in April. And if you think about the technology era, really there was one defining moment that defined all of technology. It was like the launch of the iPhone. It was divided into pre-iPhone and post-iPhone. And I was like, man, I would have loved to have been there when the iPhone was announced. So this is not hyperbole, but we have not one, but two of the biggest announcements that we could possibly put together that we're going to be announcing at Church Conference in April. And so, I don't know how to beg you or plead with you or ask you, you need to be there, because these two things are going to change the shape of kids ministry and next gen ministry forever. And you need to be there in the room, because it is going to be awesome. So, okay, let's talk about the first one of those partnerships today. So I want to start by talking about amazing music, actually. So 8 months ago, Tyler and I stood on stage in Atlanta at Orange Conference and shared our heart for what amazing music was going to be. And we made a promise to you that we were gonna create 100 elementary songs, including all of the training videos, lyric videos, the whole deal, just for you. And so the great news is 8 months later, we have just wrapped up filming on our 100th song. So we're promise made, promise kept. We are so excited about the incredible media and music that our team has put together, and it's all to serve you and help make your life easier. So the other part of that, I just want you to think about this for a second. The number of music videos streamed in our curriculum over the last 8 months through Amazing Music, 130,000 songs have been played in your classrooms through the Amazing Music module, which is insane. I mean, I hear all the time, Chris, we love amazing music. On top of that, we have also put all of those tracks available on Spotify. And we have heard from you time and time again that you wanted to be able to connect your parents on a Monday through Saturday with the incredible music and worship experiences that you're creating. And so we put that together. Also on YouTube, there's incredible experiences there as well, where kids can listen to our high five puppet. It is awesome. So some great experiences to pull through. But in the last 8 months alone, Amazing Music songs have been streamed 350,000 times. I mean, when we set goals at the beginning of last year, this has more than exceeded the goals that we set when we were thinking and praying about how to put this together. So what I'm excited to talk to you about today and to announce is that we are partnering with Yancy to bring 65 preschool songs and 15 Spanish songs to be available in Amazing Music over the next few weeks. This is gonna blow your mind. So we have already an incredible amount of music, but to add Yancy's collection, and Yancy is one of the greatest singer-songwriters connecting with kids in the kids' world today.
Yancy, and I think many of you know that name, it's because God has put a special anointing and calling on Yancy's life to help kids connect to God through music. And so, like Chris was saying, when we look around, we look for people who are doing things with excellence and who are serving the church well, and it was just a no-brainer for us. So we asked Yancy if she would be willing to partner with our Amazing Music stuff, and we love Yancy, and she was so excited to do it. So what we're excited to do is to bring Yancy's catalog into the Amazing Music catalog and make it available to you who are using A-Play. So you have songs or you have things that you're teaching in your classrooms on weekends or weekdays, you now have an even better catalog of songs to pick and choose from so that you can use some of the best of the best. And I couldn't be more excited about Yancy coming on board and partnering with us.
And Yancy is world class. This is gonna be available exclusively on A-Play, right inside there in the Amazing Music library. You're able to click and drag those straight into your classroom environment. So look out for that coming over the next few weeks.
It's coming.
All right. We also have a second incredible partnership to announce today. And we have been hard at work. Our team has been hard at work on amazing students. And we've put together some middle school, high school curriculum. You guys love the series graphic, countdown timers, all of the themes. We have heard some incredibly great feedback about the creative work that our team has done to put that together to be able to serve you. And we started talking maybe about 6 or 7 months ago with these folks who are some of the pioneers and the leaders who are doing the absolute best stuff in the student space. And when we started having conversations with Jason, the CEO, we're like, these are the kind of people who share the heart and the passion that we have to engage the culture, to produce world-class, and I mean world-class media and curriculum content. And so we started talking about how do we partner together to be able to serve you and make their materials available to you for your students as well.
The best part about these people too is we started having conversations. One thing became glaringly clear is that they have a heart for the local church. I think over dinner, the first time we all got together, this person said it multiple times, all we're trying to do is make the local church the hero. We don't care if anyone ever knows our name. We don't care if anybody ever sees who we are. We want churches to win, because when churches win, the kingdom wins. So for us, it was a no-brainer when we started to look at all the different things that they do, that we could partner together to bring some incredible world-class curriculum and content for student ministries to be able to utilize.
So let's give it up for our new partnership with CIY. CIY, Christ in Youth, is known for putting on the world's best camps that are across the summer. They run tens of thousands of kids and students at their camps, and they are the pioneer. They have led this model. And so we love their clarity and their heart for serving you, the local church. And so we could not be more excited to make their content available to you through the Amazing Student module, starting here in just a couple of months' time.
So that will be available via A-Play. And the things that you love, and like we promised, we're going to continue to give you different series and different things that you can utilize as tools in your student ministry. You're going to see that their series start to get added to the catalog. And it'll be filled with the things that we still want to give to you. Teaching videos, communication scripts, graphics and IDs things, countdown videos, games. They've got a lot of things. They've been doing this for a long time, so they're really good and have a treasure trove of content and curriculum that we're packaging together to bring to you so that you and your students are served with nothing but the best.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about A-Play. A-Play it feels like it's been around for like 8 years, but it's only been 8 months since A-Play was launched, which is crazy to think about. And just want to explain A-Play in one sentence. It's this: you can build services, you can display your media and music, you can equip parents and develop volunteers all in one place with a single click. I mean, the whole idea of the curriculum world and strategy that you guys have and that you've been building out is to be able to do all of those things. But the thing that you have told us time and time again is like, how do I find time to do all of these things when I'm supposed to do all of this? I'm supposed to connect with my parents. I'm supposed to find volunteers. Like, it is just such a huge amount of work to be able to do that. And so to have one central point now in A-Play where you can have the curriculum and the outlines for a Sunday morning. You can have the media component and the playlist created. You can pull the music in like we just talked about. But then in one click, you can send that off to your volunteers. And in one click, you can update your parent app to be able to ensure that your parents are engaged. I mean, this is really the future of kids ministry in one piece of software. Hey, our friends at Kensington Church have been using A-Play and Service Builder and have been crushing it. And I could not be more excited for you to hear from them right now. So check this out.
Like, I actually cried tears of joy when I got done, like, doing the first one. I was like, this is life-changing for my job, if I'm honest. I like called my husband, my best friend, everybody to let them know. I'm like, wow, this is so much better. My name's Carissa. I work for Kensington Church in Michigan, and I oversee curriculum for all 6 of our campuses. So it was taking me anywhere from 8 to 12 hours to edit 1 week of small group lessons, and it was so overwhelming and taking way more than the allotted 20 hours that I really had to put into it. I felt like I was letting everyone down. It was taking me so long to get them prepared, and then Service Builder came along. I can do an entire month now of editing pretty much in a 6 to 8 hour day. With the time that I've gotten back using Service Builder, I'm able to pour more into my campus weekend services for my littles, and I'm able to really give them all the time that they deserve. Our staff and volunteers are more prepared and are able to go over the material quicker. Our kids have a much better connection with their volunteers during their small group time because the volunteers don't have to stress or feel unprepared for what they're doing. My favorite thing is when they're walking down the hallway and telling their parents about the craft they made and relating it back to the Bible story that they learned. So the parents see that this wasn't just something that they did on a Sunday morning while their parents were at service, that they actually took something valuable away.
Over the last 8 months, 2,300 churches have got on board with using A-Play, which is mind-blowing. I mean, it's really exceeded our expectations for how fast you've all jumped on board with A-Play and started using it to engage your kids and parents and display the media. And so it has really been phenomenal. And so, but here's the thing, we are not satisfied with where A-Play is today. We're continually pushing our team to take it to the next level and to make it even more user-friendly and to give you more features that you're gonna make your life even easier to save you time. And that's what we're super excited to talk about today. So a couple of weeks ago, I was at CPC and a lady came up to me and she said, Chris, you know, you people at Amazing Life, you always are just going on about A-Play and how easy it is to use. She just said, I will never, ever adopt A-Play. I was like, Wow, I mean, this is a very definitive statement. Why is that? And she said, because she said, I have a perfect system set up. On the first of the month, when the content goes online, I download it and I copy and paste it into my templates. I said, well, how long does that take you approximately? And she said, well, it takes about 5 or 6 hours, but I know I have it all set up. I know exactly what I'm doing. I've done it this way for the last 10 years. I will never be adopting A-Play. And I said, well, what if I could share with you a little secret that is going to make your life even easier? What if you could do all that instead of 5 hours, if you could do all of that in 5 minutes? She said, well, I would certainly be using the technology if that was the case. And I said, well, you will be so excited because coming up in a couple of months' time, we are building templates. So let's take a look at this, Tyler. What have we got here?
All right, so I've logged into A-Play, and you can see here, you've got your service builder and your playlist button. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click this service builder button, and now it has the button and the option to create a template, which is great, because we all have different ways that we do ministry. So I'm gonna create a template, and what it does, it's got all these different options over here on the side, different conventions and different versions of how I could put my service together, drag and drop it. So I'm gonna start dragging and dropping some of these things. Under the social activities, you got the introduction, prayer points. So you just fill this all out. So once I have it filled out and it's in the order that I like it to be, I'm gonna hit Save Template. So look, it saves there. Now, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start a new service. It's 12:01 on the first of the month, and I'm so excited because I've been waiting for the new content to upload. So I'm gonna create a new service right here, and all of a sudden I'm gonna select my template because I've saved one. So my preschool service, and let's see, I'm gonna say the Bible story is this, and all of a sudden it's preschool, first look, all that. Create service. Now, this is the template that I chose and set up for my preschool service. The content that has been released for that month is now going to load into that template. So everything that I would usually use is now loading into a template that I don't have to go and toggle all this stuff off or delete this or pull from this section over here. It automatically loads for me. And when I look at my script, Chris, look at that. Look at that. It's perfect. That's what I wanted. I needed a template because now I don't have to spend, I have all these Word documents open and I'm gonna copy this part from here and this part from here. I have it here for me, ready to go.
Tyler, come on, man. I love downloading 300 files and going through the bottom of that thing looking for, where is the Keynote 3 script? I thought it was just you put it in a different place this month than last. What are you doing, you people over there? Gone all those days. You can just click a button and based on the template that you've built out, it auto-pop. Oh, wait. But Tyler, there's a problem.
What's wrong? This is what I chose.
I know that you created this template, but actually, this what's in the bag game, this game is not gonna, you don't understand.
It's not gonna work for you?
It's not gonna work for me.
No, but it works for me.
I know that, but you are over there on the coasts and I'm not.
Got it.
And so this game is just not gonna work in our environment. And so I'm gonna need to change that out.
But there's no way, so I need to go, hold on. I'm gonna have to open a different window and copy and paste a different game.
See, I told you the software business is not gonna work. I wanna go back to my old Word documents, please.
Okay, Chris. If I wanted to change this game out, is there a way for me to do it without having to all of a sudden go open a different window and copy stuff in?
What would be really cool, I was thinking about this, is, you Orange, right?
Yeah.
30 years of curriculum. I don't think there's anyone on the planet that has more curriculum, more games and more activities than Orange. And so what if we could look through all of those activities and games and find one that would be a perfect fit for me to slot in here in place of the what's in the bag game?
Let's see. I'm gonna click on this game right here.
What is that?
What's this button? It says Shuffle. Wait, are we introducing Shuffle today?
We're introducing Shuffle.
So I'm gonna hit Shuffle right here, and then, wait, now this just brought up a whole list of cards of different games. All centered around the same theme that I was teaching this weekend, but it's tagged and it pulls from a rich library of 30 years of Orange content. It's all age specific and appropriate. And so let's say I didn't like that one. So, this Genesis bingo is exactly what I think you're looking for.
Better.
So you can confirm the shuffle. And no way. It drops it into your script. So it's there to go. So it's ready for you. It took one old game, you hit shuffle, you selected it, and it dropped the new one ready to go in your script to download and send out.
And if you don't like that one, you can shuffle it again.
Oh my goodness. And so this isn't just randomized, right? Like this is the beauty. Like you said, 30 years of rich, age-appropriate curriculum that it can now pull from that may actually be favorites of your volunteers or your kids. So if something doesn't feel right, you can just, shuffle it. Every day we're shuffling.
Are you going to launch into this? Oh, you can sing. I can't sing. Don't make me sing in front of people, please. Okay. So shuffle.
One sec. Hold on. You did shuffle, but so here's the problem is, and this is, I've got a bone to pick with you because I've talked to a lot of customers. On this page, it starts to like the script keeps going down. And so like you see all this space at the top of my script? Like my small group leaders, they have to go find the completely other page for just a 1-sentence line. Like that's very annoying, Chris.
The new activity has gone over to the next page and you're wasting money of my church, Tyler. So we're going to need to do something about that.
Okay, well, here's the beautiful part. Like I said, when do we bring our problems to Chris? He says, let's fix it. So we've now introduced one of my favorite new features in Service Builder, which is inserting a page break. So I'm going to go here, and there's a little button right here. You see, it looks like the little script, and when I click it, it says Insert Page Break. So now I can pull this down right here, and all of it is on one page. So I no longer have to worry about like, wait, that part of the script that the leader was supposed to be reading is broken into 2 parts. I can just put it right here, and it's good to go.
You want to know the best part?
I do.
This is live right now.
I can use it right now?
Right now. You asked, we have delivered. It is live in the platform today.
Look at God.
Yeah.
All right, so, but here's the best part too, because Chris, you keep listening and you're hearing. And so not only can I just add the page break, but now I can export it in a really exciting way. You see, if I export this, it sets to default, which is everything.
I like that we called it the amazing default.
It is the amazing default because I do think it's amazing. And so that's like all of our scripts. It's the large group and the small group and all the images in one document. But you know what? I just want the large group part because that's what I want to send. So I can toggle off the small group and all of a sudden, there you go. It's just going to take that. Or I don't want the images. I just want the large group. And I can share that with my volunteers.
Wait. Hold on. This is like the most important part.
What?
You have just spent all of this time crafting the perfect service, and with one click, you can share that with your volunteers.
And not only can I share it with my volunteers, I can make sure that each individual volunteer, because let's say that this service I crafted for our 9 a.m., but our 11 a.m. is a little different. So I can share this service with my 9 a.m. team, and then I can go back and I can add in the little pieces that are going to be different for the 11 a.m. team, and then I can share it with them as well, all from the comfort of A-Play.
Exactly. What else have we got in here, Tyler? We've got black and white text only. We talked about that. We've got share with volunteers. We can also create our media playlist at the same time.
Yes. So one of my favorite parts, and what we keep hearing feedback again and again and again, is I used to have to download my curriculum, get my scripts in order, ready to go, sort through all of my activities. And once that was done, I would go find the other folder, the media folder, that had all of my slides and all of my videos and all of my images, and then start to load that into ProPresenter or whatever type of software I was using to display. And it took a lot of time. So what we've done here, and the reason we continue to upgrade and ship new features on A-Play is because as I'm building my script out here, it's gone ahead and it's built out all of my playlists. So if I toggled off the Bible story in this one section of my script, it's no longer in my A-Play playlist. I no longer have to do my scripts and then do my media. I can do it all in the comfort of one place, and it saves me so much time. And I heard a hallelujah from the camera. Like, I'm so glad you guys understand that too. It's so good. So if you haven't gotten into it yet, I think, Chris, what people would be shocked to know is the version that we're talking through and showing today is vastly different than the one that we were showing and presenting 8 months ago. Like, people really have to understand this changes so quickly, because when you guys give feedback or we learn that there could be a different feature that would be helpful for you as pastors, well, we start to build build it out. And so this is getting better and better and better and better. And I just don't know if there's any way that it could get any better.
Well, there is one more thing. One of the things that we also would like to do is to make sure that we can update our Parent Plus app from here, because we understand Orange is founded on the whole principle that engaging parents in their kids' spiritual formation is one of the most important things that you can do. And so as you craft your service right here, you can also click to update your Parent Plus app to ensure that they have all of the information that they need to engage their kids Monday through Saturday. And one of the things we've done is put devotions in there for your parents to be able to play at home. In addition to the Spotify songs, we're continuing to invest a ton of resources into creating media to actually be able to empower parents, which is at the very heart of the Orange strategy. And so you can update your Parent Plus right here. And we have heard from some of the early folks who have been adopting Parent Plus that 72%?
76.2% of parents are engaging with their app throughout the week. And what's also interesting is they're learning that some parents who didn't make it to church that weekend, because the new statistics right now is 1.7 times a month, they're still engaging with their church through the app because they're able to go in and see the convo cards. This is what they learned. They can watch the Bible story. They got devotionals. There's a lot of really great options for them to be able to be a part of their kids' spiritual formation. And one of the best parts that we keep hearing from churches is that it speaks so much intentionality when parents see you created an entire app for us. Because early on, it was like, we already have an app. And it's true, and it's great. But this isn't just an app. This is curated content that goes alongside what their lesson is for that weekend so that parents can engage with their kids on that as well. Not just be informed of what's happening on the weekend, but engage and be a part of the formational piece that it takes for their kid to really get to know Jesus. And so when parents see like, wow, you have an app just for me, and here it says this was the bottom line, and I should ask this question and this question, and here's my parent cues that I can ask throughout the week, and here's the Bible story that they learned this week, and we can watch that together, and we're gonna listen to these songs in the car. Again, it's the Orange strategy of the heart of the home and the light of the world, the church, coming together, partnering together for the faith and the future of the next generation. So this app is just a really great tool that we see that's engaging parents. So the early adapters of this app, they're seeing incredible results of parents being able to stay informed and engaged with their kids' formation.
I'm just still blown away. 76%.
That's 3/4 of their parents in their ministry.
It just goes to show you, and I think we all know this to be true, that there is a real hunger and desire for parents to be equipped with practical ministry tools to engage with their kids, to help them grow spiritually. And so this is where we're going. This is just the beginning. We could not be more excited about continuing to resource you through A-Play in Parent Plus. But of course, today would not be complete without one more thing. And I know that Tyler is the kind of person who waits up until 12:01, refreshing to get the latest download of the curriculum files. And so, by the time you're watching this, February's content is going to have been uploaded. Yep. And so Tyler's going to have already, by the time you watch this, in just a few days after the beginning of February, he's going to have logged in, he's going to have created his service, he's going to have created his playlist, he's going to have created the prompts for his parents, he's going to have created all of the training materials for his volunteers. He's going to have it all done.
True.
But, Tyler, I am the kind of last minute type of person. And so I'm the kind of person that would be up on Saturday night Googling, trying to find how to run this in my environment. And I would be still writing it. And my parents and volunteers would be very upset because I've not equipped them and trained them. And so I was wondering, how would it be possible if because you've already created February's, that was February, March, April. So you've already created April's, the whole thing for the whole of April.
True. By 12:08 a.m. that night, I had already finished everything. Yes.
Would it be possible if you could share all of the incredible work that you've done with me, because we both use A-Play, we're both on, Amazing Life. Why don't you share all of the work that you've done in building out this incredible service with me, because we do ministry the same way?
I'm going to have to pray about it before I give you an answer, but fine. Okay, one more piece.
Okay.
So I've built my services. I've put a lot of hard work that you want to benefit from.
I want to benefit from your hard work, please.
Okay, great. So one of the best pieces right here is when there's a tab here now where you can go to share it right here. So look, now when I hit share, Oh, look, I can type your name in.
Type in my name.
And I can tell you, hey, this service reminded me of our conversations around what really matters. So I'm going to write you a little note. I'm going to send it to you. And guess what? You can now access that service there in A-Play. You can use the service that I've curated with the content that I've been subscribed to, that you're subscribed to as well, but you like the way, because I'm very good at curating content.
You're very good. I'm very good at actually going out and doing the real work of kids ministry, connecting with my kids. That's why I have no time to plan all the service stuff. So,
Got it. Okay.
but if we can team up, then this would allow me to continue spending more time with my kids.
It's a bit of a Martha spirit that I'm picking up from you, but yes, I will go sit at the feet of Jesus and see what he wants us and build the services, and you can do it. So this is a great feature. So now people who have different ministry partners and different friends that use A-Play, they can share their services with those people as well.
Exactly right. And this is going to be available in the next few months. We could not be more excited about share a service coming to A-Play in just a few short months.
Chris, that's a really big deal. Between Shuffle, so I can now, when I open my scripts, and it's coming soon, but I can look at my script, and if there's a piece that I want to change out, or a Bible story, like a live convention of a Bible story, I don't like this convention, but I still want to tell the story of Moses, I can hit the portion, I hit the shuffle button, and it's going to give me different options of ways I can tell the Bible story, or any different activity. This activity doesn't work for me, so I shuffle, and it gives me different options around that theme. So Shuffle was huge. And then templates. Oh my goodness. I can save so much time on templates. And then I can share it. So I can share a service. And then at the same time, I can also update my entire app for all of the families. This is.
Oh, you forgot the partnership with Yancy and CIY.
Yancy, CIY, show refreshes. There's a lot cooking. I don't know. Are we going to have anything left to announce at church conference coming up in a couple weeks?
I'm offended that you even asked, because you weren't listening before. Church conference, the two biggest announcements in the history of kids ministry are going to be done on stage live. You've got to be there. It's going to be awesome. And so thank you for joining us today. The future of the church is bright. Our mission at Amazing Life is that your mission is the most important mission that exists, to connect with kids and students, and our heart is to resource you with the world's best tools, because you are on the world's most important mission. And so we've assembled what we think is the Avengers of this space to kind of put all of our heart, all of our effort, all of our energy into serving you with the absolute best tools to make your life easier, because we believe that pastors should be pastoring, not spending all their time trying to create a organizational flowchart for what's happening on a Sunday morning. This is our heart. This is our mission. Thank you so much for joining us today. We could not be more excited about the future. See you soon.